Okay, guys. Raise your hands if you guys got it. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, Dan, can you address Andre's injury, how it happened, perspective?
Yeah, so we went really light. Obviously, the day after game on the 20th. We went really light. Did some skill work. Still trying to see Dom just kind of when it happened from watching practice video and was it on a dunk or because Dre's a tough kid and didn't really feel the pain until that next day coming into the facility for the COVID test. So we're kind of we've kind of trying to figure it out off the practice film because we didn't go live. It was more. It must have happened, at some point. Skill work or dunking. So.
Dave, Borges.
Dan, can you just kind of, obviously the next game not scheduled until the 30th. What do you guys? What's kind of the plan for the team over these next few days in terms of practices and then handling Christmas? Are the guys going to be able to go home, or are you going to do any kind of team type thing? And then I guess I'll just the obligatory. Is it possible you might do something for the 27th non-league or anything like that? But just for the next few days, what's kind of the plan for the team?
Yeah. So we collectively made a decision to not go home for Christmas. If we would have, we wouldn't have been able to play the DePaul game. They wouldn't have played us, and then that would have put us in a position where we would have, had to quarantine for a couple of weeks. So we have to take you. It's mandatory to take 3 straight days off. Via the NCAA during the holidays. So, our guys are off the 22nd, the 23rd, and Christmas Eve. Just kind of we're all, spending time together. We're going to practice on Christmas Day, and then, they'll come, we'll socially distance somewhere and do a Christmas as a group, and just get ready for the game on the 30th with DePaul.
Gavin?
Dan, how's Tyler doing? Is he back in the team full-time now?
Yeah, Tyler's back. We desperately need him back.
Damn it. We lost you, Dan. There you go.
Sorry, Phil.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Tyler's Tyler's is all set. He'll be back, live, full practice on Christmas, and he's obviously a critically important guy, especially you know, with the loss of Dre, who I think I think post Creighton game, you know, you're feeling a greater urgency to get Dre on the court. I think the thought process was, man, we've got to get this guy up to speed defensively so that we can get Dre's talent on the court. Tyler was an important guy before that with his shooting. You know, and he's a good defender and at 6'8". But, you know, obviously we coming out of the game the other night, we had a real difficult time scoring with the exception of James. So Tyler's shooting is something we're going to need moving forward.
Adam Zagoria?
Yeah, hey Dan. I know Bob also had. What's up, buddy? I know Bob also had a game postponed because Utah had COVID. You know, have you? You know, are you and your brother able to share any support for each other, or funny anecdotes, or help each other through this period where you're both kind of waiting for games?
Yeah, we were just talking about it, you know, right before I got on here. It's you know, you got to do the best you can under the circumstances. And in the end, when it's all said and done at the end of the year, you know, you're going to have to, you know, accept responsibility for whatever type of season you have. But, you know, it's a heck of a challenge. You know, we played well enough, even with everything we've been through the last 40 days. You know, we weren't able to close out a very important game at home. You know, I think in large part because of what we've been dealing with. You know, if RJ Cole is in more pressure situations, and if we're having more practice time and more game situations, you know, we closed that game out the other day. So, you know, hopefully we could find some consistency with practices and games, and hopefully we could avoid getting COVID and we could get into a rhythm of practice and games so that we could give ourselves a chance to have a good season.
Does it help? I know you talked to Bob a lot. Does it kind of help that he's in a somewhat similar situation? Like, what does he say, or what advice does he give?
Yeah, I mean, he's just had the one game canceled. You know, he has. Fortunately, he hasn't been in any long extended pauses for his, you know, with his own team. So, you know, he's getting ready for, you know, he's getting ready for Washington State. You know, at the end of December, and just like what I'm doing. You know, is we're both, you know, just really trying to get our teams right.
All right, stay safe. Thanks.
Later, man.
Charlotte?
Hey Dan, this is Charlotte. Thanks for the time and happy holidays. Was just wondering
Happy holidays.
how the guys are doing kind of mentally, just with the extended period of time off and especially around the holidays not being able to go home.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really hard. It's really hard for these guys, and you know, even something as simple as you know, like having a game, you know, the other day, which is a brutal loss. You know, but not having your typical like family that you could huddle up with and friends after a game like that can give you that pick me up. You know, it's like you lose a game like that the other day. You then just go back to your dorm room, which you can't really leave, and you know, and then you get ready to not be allowed to go home for Christmas. you know, and then obviously you have other schools in the league that are able to and have made the decision to go home. So we're just, you know, you feel for these guys, but I know that they're very determined to get back on the court to play another game because we don't like the taste of the way the last one ended.
Gabby Lucifero?
Hey, Dan, to follow up on Charlotte's question, looking at Christmas, I know you said you guys will be practicing, but especially now that they're not afforded those, you know, you made the decision as a team to not get to go home. They can't see their families with everything that they've already given up. Where does kind of the coach's hat come off and maybe a little bit of the dad hat come on, especially having your own son on the team? Where does that fit in to keep that morale up like you've talked about so much?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. We, you know, you try to put together the best possible, you know, Christmas. You know, we do, you know, the parents and close family, you know, have an opportunity to see them socially distanced away. You know, so that there's a chance to at least maybe, you know, see somebody on Christmas Eve. You know, we'll put together, you know, a nice meal for them today. And then on Christmas when we practice, you know, I won't yell at them. I'll, you know, I'll be very, you know, very, very positive and upbeat. I'll wear a Santa hat if they want. And then, you know, when we have a Christmas, you know, get together in our own little bubble on Christmas, you know, we'll just enjoy the time together. It'll be good for our culture and our camaraderie. You know, to spend some time together outside of competition.
Bill Paxton?
Hey, Dan, how has RJ been? I mean, obviously, he tweeted out after the game about how he apologized to UConn Nation for missing the shots, but has his mindset been pretty good the last couple of days, you know, after a game like that?
Yeah, you know, listen, RJ doesn't owe anybody any apologies. You know, RJ answered a critical question that we had about him. You know, I think his offense is going to come as he just gets more games after sitting out a year. You know, I think his sharpness offensively will return. And he'll be the type of guy that'll make, you know, hopefully 5 or 6 or 7 of those 13 shots moving forward. So, you know, he's a confident guy. I thought that was like a really smart thing to put out that night, to send a message to the fan base about owning it. And but I think he's the type of guy that in the future, you know, will play well enough for us that he won't feel like he's got to do that. And we need him because we need, you know, we need more people on the perimeter that can get us double-figure points, and you know, he's got a chance to be a second scorer for us behind Book, which we desperately need.
Mike, Anthony?
Thanks. And there's a really scary situation down at the University of Florida with Keontae Johnson. I'm just wondering, as a coach, you know, what goes through your mind as you see that play out? Concerned at all for any players in any program coming back after testing positive for COVID, even though we can't know for sure whether COVID had any impact on his heart condition?
Yeah, it is, Mike. It's a scary situation. It's great to hear that Keontae is doing better. Just, you know, for me, it's you got to trust the medical, the medical people. We've got, great medical people at UConn and Dr. Casera, who I think is really is very protective of our players and has taken out, every possible precaution. So, I think you got to trust your medical people that we're doing the right things by these kids right now, and
Thanks.
that when they get the echo and they see the cardiologist reads it after they've had the COVID, that you just got to trust the medical people that they've got a great plan.
Jeff
Thank you.
Jacobs?
Dan, I asked this question to Val Ackerman the other day, and she said it's an excellent question for the selection committee. So I hope that you could be a little more opinionated than that. So much goes into these net rankings, and they put all these metrics to it, and they shaved it down to a couple of different things this year, and obviously road wins and road performances and per possessions are so important. But it strikes me that nothing's more emotional than bubble day when 10 teams or 5 teams don't get in and they're so angry. It strikes me that schools that have to play, a last-minute travel because of COVID, or don't get to play for so long because of COVID, and then other schools will be less touched by it. It doesn't seem like an even playing field to me for something that's supposed to be so scientific. Would you like to see some sort of, I don't know, COVID? I hate to sound like a baseball writers Hall of Fame voter that I am, but do we need some kind of metric to address the COVID situation this year?
Yeah, and Jeff, it's there's a lot there, right? Not every conference or schools in different conferences are handling COVID positives differently than some other schools and leagues are. That's one part of it. The other part of it is, these games feel to me, and again, some schools like I guess Creighton will have limited attendance, but for all intents and purposes, you're playing like a bunch of neutral site games. There was no advantage the other day to playing in stores. Obviously, the familiarity with the surroundings, but to put so much weight in a road game that's played in front of nobody doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I think it's, this is a season where there's going to be not a whole lot that's going to be fair about how it goes for one school compared to another. And I don't, and it'll probably be hard on Selection Sunday to justify the field based on who's played how many games and who's had multiple pauses and all the different things that are going to go into it, like you said. Just got to accept the season for what it is, and just hope that you get a little bit lucky, that you don't have a lot of games canceled, and that you could just get some consistency to, you stop getting COVID in your programs so that you don't have to pause. I know what this is now. We've dealt with it a couple times, and just got to make the best of it. Try to win as many games as you can.
Dom?
Dan, the way this currently constituted, it's going to go kind of from famine to feast. You're going to have so many games in a short time once you do get started again after January. I'm just wondering how are you going to approach this next week in terms of fixing things, knowing that you may not have more than a day or two between games to fix things later on?
Yeah. I think we might have lost them, guys. I don't see him on the board. Wait, give him a chance to call back. Here he is. Coach, you back? There you
Sorry,
go.
Phil.
No problem.
Phil, sorry.
Did you get Tom's question?
No, I didn't hear it.
He just wanted to know that now there's lag time, but starting in January, you're going to have like 1 or 2 days between games. How do you fix things, now so you don't have to fix things later on the fly?
How do I, what, Phil?
I just want to know if you can fix anything now so when it's going to be more difficult in January.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to take advantage of, obviously, all this practice time, the Christmas, from Christmas Day, really up through, our Marquette game. We've got to really try to make up for all the time we've lost. We've also, we've got to try to get a cook in a position where, where we can activate him for game night. I think he's maybe a couple games away from being able to make his debut if everything continues to go well. But Don, we got a lot to do. I think coming out of the Creighton game was like an early season game for us, which find out what is our best course of action moving forward in terms of roles and identity, and we've got to figure that out on the fly, and obviously find some people at the offensive end that can support Book more and give us a chance to win that way. And I think we've been very encouraging what we did defensively against one of the best offensive teams in the country. We struggled guarding them earlier in the game with the bigger lineup, but for the last 32 minutes of that game, in the USC game, we've shown a toughness and a defensive mentality that'll put us in position, to win a lot of games.
Gav?
Tyrese has rebounded well and given you some toughness on defense. What does he need to do to get more involved or to be more offensively?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. He played close to 40 minutes. I think his athleticism and his size and his toughness, you could see that. He's got, I think really, really good defensive ability and finishing ability. We probably have to, there's a lot, there's just, we've got to run some things to get him the ball in a position, where he can attack the rim. He's got to make a play defensively, get in the passing lane, get a run out dunk. He's got to get on the offensive glass. But you play a 40-minute, he played 40 minutes against Creighton, and if we just could have had one other guy, could just have gotten us double figures. He's got to be a guy that gets us 10 points, 7 rebounds, is a hell of a defender. And that's on me. I've got to figure out, what positions I could put him in for him to get, 10 a game for us, which he's capable of. But again, he's a new piece. We have a brand new point guard. We have, a new wing that, that we've got to find out kind of, their sweet spot offensively. And we don't have a lot of time to figure it out.
Dave, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, just Dan, and you obviously mentioned RJ as a guy who could step up as kind of that number 2 scorer. Who are some of the other maybe candidates, or does it even need to be sort of one guy? Can it kind of be a committee type of thing? Different guys sort of stepping up every night or guys, having multiple guys being able to average between maybe 10, 12, 13 points a game.
Yeah, I think it's got to be more collective. I think our strength is the depth. I do think that I think RJ's got to use his floater game a little bit more. I was very comfortable with the threes that he got. A majority of those were in rhythm. I thought he settled a little bit for some mid-range pull-ups that he could have tried to probe more with the dribble. But I do think that RJ is our best chance at a consistent number 2 guy that could maybe live in that that 13 a game, maybe 14 a game range, because I do think he can make threes at close to hopefully a 40% clip. And he's an excellent free throw shooter. But then I think just are we going to get 34 from Book? Like through regulation, like he really did. I mean, the overtime, he scored 6 late when it was decided. I think he kind of gapped out. But I think Book's a guy that we're going to need, in these high leverage games to get us 25. And, we can't afford the 1 for 8, the 1 for 6, the 2 for 13s. Isaiah can't get in foul trouble. If Isaiah's not in foul trouble, he would have found his way to 12 points just in the ball screen game, offensive glass, catch and finish. So I just think that as good as Book had it going the other night, it was like the perfect storm of just a number of guys just having a really, really tough night on the other end of the spectrum.